Greetings, Benjamin J. from BENZTRAINZ with another in the series. Well, getting ready to do a quick transplant, so I thought I'd do a video. Now I've got a motor, a single reduction motor, standard crossbar out of a 490 or something. And I'm going to transplant it into this Marx 999. Now I got this last year sometime, and as you see, someone had painted it. And so I've taken the motor out, stripped it for parts, and just put it under the bench. Well, it's a Friday night and I have absolutely nothing to do, so I figured I would do a quick transplant and reconstruct this 999. Very likely I'm going to repaint it black, of course. Anyway, the point being, a standard single reduction motor will not fit in a 999 shell because of this front crossbar. Now, as you see, the front crossbar will not line up. It has to be approximately there, as you see. So you could Mickey Mouse this and put a jumper between them of a piece of metal, put a screw there and a screw there. That would get it running, but it isn't going to look very good no matter what you do. So I looked through my parts and I found a front crossbar which was originally off a Canadian Pacific, I think. Now, what a lot of people don't know is the 999 crossbar with the slide mounted on it. Obviously, you have to use different push rods. However, if you just file off those two rivets, you can pull this fork off, and there is a slot to accept a standard push rod. And a lot of the Canadian Pacifics, of course, use this same crossbar, but they use standard push rods. So I'm just going to splice this thing all together and drop this motor into this 999 shell. Now, in order to use this with this crossbar, you have to physically trim these push rods. They are too long, and they will go up and hit on the inside of this new crossbar, and of course the motor won't run. So let me move this camera a bit, so I'll show you what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is pull this crossbar off. So, straighten out the tabs, pull the crossbar off. Now I'm going to take a pair of nippy cutters and I'm going to cut about 1/8 of an inch off of this push rod. Right about there. It doesn't take much. And these cutters are actually too light to do this. So, try this. There we go. So cut this push rod off, like I said, about 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, something like that. Not a lot. Just enough to give you some clearance. So get this thing cut. Really difficult to do this stuff with this camera right in the way. There we go. So I've cut those two push rods off, as you see. So now we can take this front crossbar, originally off a, very likely a Canadian Pacific, and slide it onto these push rods. And there is a slot that will accept a standard push rod, as you see. Line this up on the motor. Then we have to make sure we chopped off enough of that push rod to clear this. And we did. Okay, so now we twist the tabs to hold this in position on the motor. That looks good enough. Before we go any further, all right, motor's running all right. So now all we have to do is drop this into this 999 shell. This is a really simple modification. It only takes a minute to do it. Best of all, of course, is it works. So now we drop this motor into position, and you can't use the original mounting screws that came with that motor. You need longer ones. So what I do is go up to Walmart. These are standard 632 screws, 98 cents for a box or a bag of them. And just put these screws in that front crossbar. Now, there's a couple ways to address this. They're bright silver, of course. And you can either zap them with a ink marker to turn them black, or just zap them with a torch, get them red hot. You can do it on the kitchen stove, and drop it into motor oil, and it will turn them permanently black. And in what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you have a running 999 with a transplanted motor. So without further ado, let's take this around and see how it runs. And those push rods are still slightly tapping that front crossbar. So I've got to shorten them just a bit more. But as you see, it only takes a minute to do this. Literally, it only takes a minute to do this. That's why I always stress, don't overlook the junk. Just because something's junk when you get it doesn't mean it's going to be junk when you're finished with it. So I will pull the crossbar back off and shorten those front of those push rods another, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch perhaps. Give myself plenty of room, but you can hear it's slightly tapping the front of that crossbar. So anyway, just wanted to do a quick video on this. It's a really, really simple way to convert a bunch of parts into a running locomotive. So I've got a rear truck, so I can mount the rear truck. I've someplace in this box of parts, or on the bench, or under the layout, I have a front truck for this 999. And all you have to do is just mount them with small sheet metal screws, or even screws with nuts. You can go down to Ace Hardware, has a great selection of really, really tiny nuts and screws. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick video. Like I said, it gives me something to do. It's a Friday night, and wanted to have some kind of project to work on. But as you see, when this is finished, it gives you a running 999 that's made completely out of junk, really, mismatched parts, an old 999 shell that someone has painted, and an old motor. Throw the rear truck on it, throw the front truck on it, you're up and running. If you just want a running locomotive, you don't have to do anything else to it at all. You can just finish this up as is and run it as is. Gives you a good running locomotive. I'll put a shell in it, or I put a lens in the shell. If I don't have a lens, I'll make one out of epoxy. But just wanted to do a quick video. It's really, really simple to modify these Marx motors. And as you see, there's a 999 with a standard motor that actually looks quite respectable. And if I were to respray this black, this would look like a brand new locomotive. You can put the rear truck on it, you can put the front truck on it, you can leave it as is, and regardless, it gives you a running locomotive that took you a grand total of 5 minutes to really assemble out of parts. So anyway, I'll pull it back apart, trim off the front of these push rods. Very likely I'll just throw it on the grinder. It's a lot easier than trying to clip it. It's just I couldn't do that here in the train room for the video. So just dress them down a bit. It has the new screws, it has the new front crossbar. So a standard single reduction motor up and running in a Marx 999 shell. And as you see, it works just absolutely perfectly. But like I said, you can hear those push rods hitting the front of that crossbar. So trim them a bit more, and you have a new 999 made completely out of junk parts. This motor came out of a 490, if I remember right. And looked through my parts, found that front crossbar, took it was already missing one of the forks, so took that fork off, and these 999 crossbars already have a slot for a standard push rod for the Canadian Pacifics, of course. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick video on this. It's simple, it's easy to do it, it only takes a few minutes. So I'll get this finished up, I'll do a follow-up video of it running, throw it on the consist and pull something. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.